fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. It's midnight, and I'm doing an episode at midnight, and so I've got the wolf on though, man. We had a great time. Now this is James and I. We're just talking shit. I mean, it's like him and I are just sitting at the airport talking to each other. We have no topic. We just are getting on. We had a Zoom tonight, a CLC Zoom. We got on after that. It was late already. And so we had no topic. I'm sleepy right now, but we had no topic. It's just us talking. Like we were sitting at an airport waiting on a plane to come get us. So you're going to hear James and I just basically just talking shit. But you need to listen to it. You need to listen because James gets some things off his chest that he's been dealing with for a long time. And he gets some things off his chest in this episode with him. So y'all need to listen, all right? Everybody needs to listen, friend or foe. You need to listen to James because he finally gets some things off his chest. Sometimes you just had enough, and he has had enough of some certain things. And so he talks about it, clears the air about some things. And so I told him I loved him, I'm proud of him for that. I know James is a godly man, and he wants to have his eye on the mission, and that's running through the tape and winning this thing. Sometimes you just have to turn around and kick the damn dogs that's nipping at your heels, and that's what he does. And so I loved it. I'm going to talk about just a few things, and I'm going to get to him because it's long, all right? First off, I always get comments on Spotify. And they'll tell me how many comments I get. I'll get an email, tell me how many comments I get. Quite a few. One individual message said, "Hey man, I just can't listen to you anymore because of the doom and gloom. You know, it's just every time I listen, it's the doom and gloom." Listen, if I lose supporters for that, I get it, but I'm not going to sugarcoat anything on here. I'm just not. It is dire straits for the city letter carrier, and if anybody doesn't understand that or know that, you've got your head in the sand. It is dire straits. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything on here. I'm going to tell you exactly what I feel. If I think that my agent's shitty, I'm going to say it. If I think that they're doing things that are going to harm us, I'm going to say it. I know that, and once I find out for sure, I'll tell you. I'm going to be completely transparent about everything. If I know something, I'm going to tell you about it. But there's allegedly a meeting that happened. Allegedly, a meeting that happened amongst the bigwigs and different individuals from management and leaders of our unions and other unions. And some terrible shit was talked about. It was not good. And so... and they're wanting to hide it from us. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm hoping it's not true. But as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. But I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to hide anything from you. We want transparency. Be fucking transparent about stuff. If my union leader is in a meeting that's going to have things that are going to negatively affect my craft, you don't need to keep that shit hush hush. We owe nothing to the service. We owe nothing to the post office ever as an agent. If they have a meeting that lasts 4 fucking hours and they're talking about doing things negatively to my craft, I'm telling the craft, expect this. Don't let us walk into something. Get people ready. And so I'm hoping it's not true. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about it. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. But I'm not sugarcoating anything on this podcast ever. I never have and I never will. People talking about 4-day delivery, 4 days, 10 hours a day. I'm talking about it. I don't like it. I'm going to talk about it. The loss of jobs, I don't like it. I'm going to talk about it. Okay? Ask around. to, if you have managers that you trust, if they've heard of a meeting that happened, okay, ask them. If they heard of a meeting that lasted 4-something hours and all the bigwigs were in it, them and us, ask around and see what you can find out and let me know. All right, I'm gonna do my best to try, but some people that I trust have reached out to me, and it's not fucking good. It's not fucking good. But hey, look, here's the thing. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna be all right. Okay? It is, the times right now are tough. I think that they're overreacting to things to force Congress into doing what they want. And they're going to start doing crazy ass shit to force them to do so. What I can't have is my union leadership hiding things from me. I cannot have that. All right? So ask around. Ask around if anybody's heard of this meeting. And see if I'm being misled. I don't think I am. But see if I'm being misled, okay? Look, I love you. I'm like blue through and through. I bleed blue, okay? It's in my blood. It's who I am. And so if something's coming, I'm not going to let you get fucking waylaid with it. I'm going to stand in front of you. And that's how we are. We're going to tackle shit head on. But just ask around, okay? Ask around and see what you're hearing, okay? Anyway, I'm going to talk about a few things, then I'm going to get to James, all right? Again, we got the meet and greet fundraiser, all right? It's in Long Island, New York, Huntington Moose Lodge, 631 Pulaski Road, Green Lawn, New York, Sunday, June 7th, 2026. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. All right, so that's a meet and greet fundraiser to support your candidates for CLC. Long Island, New York, Huntington Moose Lodge, 631 Pulaski Road, Green Lawn, New York, Sunday, June 27th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Make sure y'all come out there. We're going to have a fantastic time. All right, we're going to have a great time. Another CLC fundraiser, because we need a lot of money. We're going to do a mailing, and that's a fortune. It's Cookeville Community Center, 240 Carlin Drive, Cookeville, Tennessee. That's Sunday, June 14th, time 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. All right? That's Sunday, June 14th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I'm so sleepy, it's midnight here. It's midnight. And I'm doing an episode. Crazy. Cookeville Community Center, 240 Carlin Drive, Cookeville, Tennessee. All right? A couple of things that I saw online that I'm going to address. Here's one of them. It says, just curious, I'm in South Carolina and our PM told us this morning that if we show up on a stationary event list, they have to come out and take a picture of what we have left in the truck and do a PowerPoint on it for upper management. Anyone else heard of this, and what's the best way to grieve when they do? I'm going to read that again. The PM told us this morning that if we show up on a stationary event list, they have to come out and take a picture of what we have left in the truck and do a PowerPoint on it for upper management. I'm sorry. That's a grievance. We've dealt with this before on these episodes, probably about a year ago when they started doing this shit, if y'all remember, where they were coming out, opening up all your doors, taking pictures of your mail, and then saying, by looking at your mail, you don't have enough to be out here for this long, or whatever. And we grieve that, okay? It is a grievance. Now, I had somebody that was commenting, it was odd, and kind of went against that. Said, if you don't have the pictures, it's no grievance. That's not true. That's not true. I've dealt with this numerous times. If they come out and they're taking pictures of you, I can request the pictures and they don't have to give them to me. Does that mean I don't have a grievance? No. There's numerous things that we can do and request to prove our position. If you've got Ring cameras and it shows a manager coming out there and holding up their phone, I don't have to have the fucking pictures. I can say they were taking pictures. If I see them holding up their phone and I get statements from the carriers in the stand-up talk saying what they told us, that they were going to come out and take a picture, and I can get the breadcrumbs showing that my statement of what happened corroborates the location on the breadcrumbs of where management was at what time, I can win that. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to ever allow management to come out and bully me because it's a one-on-one situation. And that's what this individual is saying. You know, if it's one-on-one, as he said, she said, we're going to lose. Management will always put us in that position, whether it's at my case, whether it's on the back dock, whether it's in their office. I'm not going to let them harass me or bully me or intimidate me because they're doing it on the sly. I'm going to file a grievance on it. And when it happens enough, where there's smoke, there's fire. And then if this happens enough, and I can make it a class action because on this day they got me, and then on the next day they got somebody else, on the next day they got somebody else. If it's within a certain time frame, I'm going to make it a class action and have all the carriers say, hey, when they came out here, they were taking pictures of me and taking pictures of my mail, and they're harassing me based off of a stationary event. So I'm going to grieve it. I'm never going to get into this attitude or this idea that I'm not going to grieve something because I may lose something if I feel it's a legitimate grievance. We're trying to get away from that mindset. We're trying to get away from the mindset that I'm not going to grieve something because I may lose it. And that's what this individual's mindset was. You're going to lose that. If you grieve it, you're probably going to lose it. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to let management bully me at any time ever. And so if they come out and take pictures of me, I'm going to grieve it. Now, as far as the issue statement, here's what the issue statement is going to say. Okay? Did management violate Articles 2, 14, and 19 of the National Agreement via Section 141.2 of the M39 Handbook? And that talks about counting of the mail. Efficiency. It talks about, because when you come out there and you measure mail by linear measurement or by a tray and you say, hey, I'm going to estimate that you have another 2 hours based off of the mail you have in there, by the pictures I took. Or I estimate by the half a tray of mail that you only have 15 minutes left based off of a picture I took. Section 141.2 of the M39 tells the arbitrator this is how you gauge efficiency. This is how you're going to gauge performance. It's not by a picture. You're not going to estimate time based off of a picture. Okay? And so that's what that's in there for. You also have management instruction MI, that's management instruction, MIAS-882-2011-6. Now, we talked about this a few episodes ago, but I just saw that today where they're talking about doing that. Again, that's MIAS-882-2011-6 and ASM 273.172. ASM 273.172. And that's all you need. And look those things up. Put those in your contentions in your file, okay? Get those things that I talked about. Get your breadcrumbs. Get a very detailed statement about what time, what transpired. Statements about the stand-up talk. And if you got neighbors that you trust, that you deliver their mail, and you have Ring cameras and they're right there, ask for the Ring camera footage. We do that all the time here in Nashville. JB will always go out and get Ring camera footage. If they're saying management was delivering mail on this part, he has gotten Ring camera footage of the supervisor walking a package up to the door, driving down the wrong side of the street. And so there's ways to beat things, but we're never going to get into the position of we're not going to grieve something because we may lose it. It's just not going to happen. Here's something else. They're also telling us carriers to delay mail on our route just to do a longer pivot on another. Didn't know we can do that. I'll read that again. They're also telling us carriers to delay mail on our route just to do a longer pivot on another. If you go to episode 124, I talk about this very thing. Episode 124, Salted Peanuts, with an emphasis on management, instructing us to curtail mail, forcing us into an undertime status. That's episode 124. Okay, so go to episode 124, and that will help you with that. So again, they're saying they're telling us, they're also telling us carriers to delay mail on our route just to do a longer pivot on another. Didn't know we can do that. So if they're forcing you into undertime on your route to do a longer pivot, we're going to grieve that. Go to episode 124, and that's going to help you out with that, all right? Another thing that we're going to talk about now, they're going to ask these questions next week, so I'm not going to talk about it today. But a lot of people have reached out to me about, hey, when they talk about these 4 10-hour days, what about 8-hour medical restrictions? What do they do? Now, I will never go past my medical restriction, but what happens? If you have a 10-hour day, you're going to be guaranteed that other 2 hours? Or what? Because your routes are going to be 10 hours long. And so are you going to have to hand off 2 hours every day or what? They're going to ask these things next week. Now, I do know that those things were asked in the executive council meeting when some of these things were talked about. But you're going to have these collective bargaining update next week. I believe that's when everybody goes to Washington. But they're going to talk about that. So once they talk about it, I'll tell you about it, okay? But a lot of people start reaching out about, hey, what if we got 8-hour medical restriction? Very good point. Very good point. And so, yeah, that's going to have to be dealt with, right? Another thing I saw, and this shows you, it shows you why constitutionally, when we say that we're broke and privatization and all this shit, it shows you the value of who we are in the Constitution, where we have to go to every address every day. Okay? And it talks about the USPS and DHL partner in a $10 billion last mile delivery agreement. $10 billion last mile delivery agreement. Do you know who else we got last mile agreements with? UPS, FedEx, Amazon. We have them with those as well. Okay? Now, we used to have them with FedEx. I don't know if we still do or not, but I remember we used to get all those bags from FedEx for the last mile. But I know UPS took it away in their contract, and now they gave it back. Amazon, we do theirs. Now DHL will do theirs. Because there's no money in last mile delivery. We're obligated to do that constitutionally. But there's no money in it. That's the reason they give us their packages to deliver. They'd rather pay us $10 billion than deliver it themselves. That tells you how little money is in that. They lose money by doing that. So if they gave us $10 billion, like, man, that's great. They're losing money when they do last mile delivery. That's why UPS wants to give it back to us, or did. And so, yeah, constitutionally, we're hindered by a lot of things. Now, we'll take the business, obviously. But those are the things that you have to overcome when you go into collective bargaining. You got to make sure the arbitrators are, look, we're not meant to make money. Now, we make a lot of money, but we're not meant to make money. We're a free service. By the people to the people. Does that mean that my people should not earn a living wage? Does that mean that people that flip burgers should make more than my carriers coming in off the street? A union job? No, it does not. If we have to be comparable in wages, and I've got UPS making 50 and I'm making 30 something, that's not comparable. And so, but those arguments will be made, but it's different times right now with us, with the Postal Service. What you can't do is get yourself into worrying and stress and despair. Don't do that. Don't do that. First off, it's not going to change anything. That's why I don't stress about anything. That's why my blood pressure stays the same at all times. I don't stress because it doesn't pay a bill. It doesn't help. But let's sort all this stuff out. Let's see what's going on, okay? And then we'll address it. But I'm not going to sugarcoat anything on this podcast, ever. If shit's going down, I'm going to tell you about it. You want transparency? I'll do that here. But if something's being hid from us, by our leaders because of some agreement with the service, something that could be detrimental to us, I've got problems with that because the Postal Service doesn't pay your salary. We do. The Postal Service didn't elect you to your position. We did. You answer to us. You don't hide shit from us. I've got problems with that if that's what's going on. And y'all should too. Again, reach out to people that you trust and know in management and say, have you heard anything about a conversation yesterday, a call that lasted some 4 hours about things that are going to happen to bargaining and non-bargaining unit employees? Ask around, okay? Let me know what you hear. Let me know. Y'all know how to get a hold of me. You know how to reach out to me. But do that. Look, we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. This is a time and place right now where we'll look back on and remember these things. The problem is we have poor leadership right now in the worst time of our careers. We have leadership that is cowardly and complacent and out of place. And I wish that we were in there right now. I wish James was over this thing. I wish we were in there right now dealing with these things. But we're not. We're not. And so we're going to play the hand that's dealt us, okay? We're going to be fine. Listen to me. We're going to be fine. I promise you that. We're going to be fine. But y'all reach out to me. I love y'all. I love you. We're in this together, right? I'm going to be delivering, well, today. I'm going to be delivering later on today because it's, 10:30. I mean, it's midnight now, 12:30. But I'll be delivering today as soon as I wake up in a few hours. And so we're in it together. We're in it together. I will never leave your side, man. We're going to do this together. I promise you. We're going to ride this thing out together. So I love you. Won't happen episode next week. I'll be on vacation and I'll come back the next week. Going to read a lot of these resolutions to you. Okay, I got a bunch that people sent me. I'll read those next week. All right, and then we'll get into some more stuff. But I love you. I love you, Light Blue, and I will talk to y'all next week, okay? And everything's going to be fine. I promise. Everything's going to be fine. So here's the wolf. Make sure you pay attention to it. My man gets some shit off his chest, and I was glad. I was happy to hear him get this shit off his chest. You can tell it's been weighing on him. But, yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. See ya. Bye. All right, I got the main man, the next president, the wolf. James Henry. What's up, my brother?
Man, I am doing fine, brother. How you feel?
I'm doing well. Just had our CLC Zoom meeting. That's always good. Getting
It
everybody
is.
on the same page as far as what we're doing. But it's late again. It's late again. It's the midnight hour. we need
Man,
we need to keep doing this. I got to get up early and go work, man. I got to go deliver
I
mail.
know, man. But it goes to show this is the kind of work we're going to be putting in for letter carriers when we take office. It's going to be 24/7.
It's 20, and I look forward to it, brother. The things that you
Yes.
have in store for us, man, I look forward to it. When you talk about education, you talk about the dogs of war as far as the toxic working environment. I look forward to that stuff, man. And I get excited about it every time you talk about it. You got Paul Bolanger getting him ready to take over. And I'm excited. I
Yeah,
think
man.
that
I'm excited as well, brother. We are on one accord there. I mean, I'm just excited for the union and for our letter carriers as a whole, because when you have people that come together on one accord, you genuinely feel like you can move mountains. I know theoretically that's what it's going to feel like in some instances. Some of the changes that we're trying to do in terms of mindset, in terms of making people believe that they are going to receive what it is that they deserve. Like I said, we often talk about we don't promise anybody that so everything that we desire to get, that it will happen all at one time. And we often say that it won't be due to lack of trying. And the interesting thing about it is that this here is a crucial moment in our history of the NLC, because this is going to determine, this very period of time is going to determine how the standard of living for letter carriers are going to play out for the next decade. We have given back and have allowed our wages and our working conditions and our benefits to be whittled down to something that isn't reflective of a union job. And for one reason or another, it doesn't really matter at this point how the milk got spilled. We're here to clean it up. And that's what the story is, man. We have to ensure that our brothers and sisters, as you so aptly state all the time, light blue is shown the love. So you remember the movie Jerry Maguire when it says, "Show me the money." That's where we are at this particular point in time. Show me the money. That's what the letter carriers want to see. But in all sincerity, brother, in all seriousness, is that we have sat by and watched, and some of us unwittingly, meaning us as letter carriers as a whole, have unwittingly watched our labor be whittled away. And it reminds me of our US coin. You know, take a quarter, for example. A lot of people don't understand or know that the reason that our coins have ridges in it, because back in the day when you would get 25 cents worth of silver, you would have merchants and other individuals would shave off pieces of it and keep the remnants of it, and then cumulatively, put it together and resell it. And you didn't have the value of what you started off with. So to prevent folks from shaving off edges of our US coin, they put ridges around it to be able to identify that. And this is what needs to happen here. We need ridges, I guess, theoretically speaking, on our collective bargaining agreement, things that are going to protect us from going backwards. You've heard me state before, as we travel around the country, it seems like we're in the movie Benjamin Button, that we're aging backwards, that we are losing ground versus gaining ground. And above all, right now, since we are in the contractual negotiation period, and that has expired, our contract expired back on May 22nd, last Friday. And it did so without the United States Postal Service and the NLC reaching a collective bargaining agreement or reaching a tentative agreement. And we are now entered into the mediation phase. And, all is not lost, but from what I can tell, I'm not necessarily holding out optimism that an agreement will be reached. It could be, but whatever agreement should be reached, if there is any, it should be worthy of the letter carrier's labor. It should be worthy of efforts that have been put in every single day, year after year, by letter carriers. And as I indicated here, we're no longer at a place where we're making wages that are commensurate with our worth. And so that it should be the first and foremost thing on the NLC's mind. And anything short of that, I'm stating that we should make sure that we either get that or fight for it all the way up to and including arbitration. And I know that some school of thoughts that because arbitration is not guaranteed, that you don't know what you're going to get. Well, we know what we are not going to get. We know we're not going to get full COLAs if we don't fight for it at every step. We know we're not going to get an higher wage that is due letter carriers rightfully if we don't fight for it. We do know that we're not going to get shorter steps from the beginning to the top pay scale steps. We do know that. We do know that we are not going to have a one pay scale, a table one pay scale. Because when you look at it, Corey, Right now, the beginning salaries of Table 1 and Table 2 is what? A $14,000 difference. It's a big difference. And at the end of the pay scale, there is a $31,000 difference. There is a substantial and significant difference between the pay scales and what the letter carriers are earning, and there should not be. And so we have to not have a defeatist attitude. We have to make sure that we don't take this narrative when management comes forward and says that this is what we're offering, and then we decide that, okay, this is what they have, and try and figure out how to divvy it up. What we need to be doing is saying this is what we are deserving of, this is what we need, and be pushing and asking for that to the degree that we're not just asking in the sense of a request, but we're asking in the form of a demand. And it doesn't mean that we guarantee that we're going to get it. But what it does mean is that we put forth a wholehearted effort to get it. So those are the things that I believe are most important and pressing on letter carriers' hearts and minds right now, is ensuring that they have a living wage, and whatever that may look like, whatever it takes for them to be able to have food on the table, clothes on their back, and a roof over their head, no matter what part of the country they live in. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. The number one thing is pay. It will always be the number one thing. That will never change. Pay is always the most important. The problem that me as Light Blue and the city letter carrier, the problem that we have with our union and our agent is that they refuse to fight for us. In the last TA, they refused to fight for us. And that goes, that's Renfro. And so that's one thing that you've always said. And one thing that I love about you is we're going to fight for a living wage. And if we have to go to arbitration, we're going to do it. Unfortunately, the carrier has no confidence in our agent, none. And that's because of our leadership, Renfro. When we had the TA come out and we realized, everybody, I remember specifically when it got into about 600 days, people were saying, here comes 1.3. You ready for 1.3? It was a joke, really. Here comes 1.3. And then 700 days later, after you hear all this talk about historic and substantial and all these things, and what was it? 1.3. So the carriers have no confidence whatsoever in collective bargaining. We just don't. It was beaten out of us in that last TA. We have no confidence in our leadership right now, James, as Light Blue. I am Light Blue. I delivered today. I'm going to deliver tomorrow. I'm telling you, from a letter carrier perspective, we have no confidence whatsoever in our leadership to do the right thing by us because of Brian Renfro, what he did to us. And so you can see it on social media. I hear it on my workroom floor. And so that's the thing that I appreciate about you and about the CLC, the people in those Zoom meetings, the individuals that we have that understand that we're going to have to fight every single day to get what we want. That's collective bargaining. That's through these dogs of war. That's through education. We're going to fight every single day. And because the carriers want to see their agent fight, and we have not. We've not seen it fight.
Brother,
We've seen it right now.
It's really unfortunate that the confidence in the leadership has eroded to the extent that it has. You're always going to have, as they would say in the Marine Corps, you're always going to have 10%. You're always going to have, no matter what you do, someone that's just not going to agree with what you say and do. But it shouldn't be pervasive like it is right now. And it does permeate through the letter carrier craft, the lack of confidence that we have in the leadership that you're going to look out for their best interest. And a regional person understands and can recognize when you have tried, when you really have tried. And let me make this very clear because I don't want anyone saying that we're trying to be opportunistic and stuff. And I think I can speak for you confidently in this sense that we hope that the current negotiator is able to deliver to the letter carriers a contract that is worthy of their labor, that letter carriers deserve. Because it all comes down to, at the end of the day, that we want what's best for letter carriers, period. Whatever form that comes in, so be it. It doesn't have to come specifically by you or me. If for whatever reason, if the current negotiators can get what letter carriers are deserving of, then we applaud them. There are other issues and concerns that need to be addressed in regards to this union being reformed as a whole. But I tell you, I will applaud anybody that will achieve what letter carriers are deserving of. But if we are unable to do that by way of negotiation, then litigation, i.e., arbitration, is the method that we should move forward, because that is our area of being in our arena of taking it to the mat for the letter carriers. And that is what you're saying, what it really comes down to. Letter carriers need to know that you're taking it to the mat, that you understand that they have mouths to feed, that you understand that there's exorbitant rents out there, that you understand that, most of them perhaps are allowed to have to have an unreliable car because they can't afford to go buy a new one, because the wages choosing between transportation and rent and food and utilities and all the other things that come with just basic living, that our wages, by and large, are deficient and unable to sustain that. So, my brother, as we indicated here, we are praying and hoping and wishing that we get a good contract. But if we don't, and elections come, the CLC will be at the ready to take up the mantle and carry the flag forward to make sure that we are fighting on behalf of the letter carriers and ensuring that, that a living wage is what we achieve.
Yeah. Well, it's a tall task. You got people that I've already said, the CLC is going to win, but there's so much to clean up. There's so much, but you got to start with that first step. You got to start with that first step. Or you always talk about eating the elephant. It's one bite at a time. It's a big mess.
It
they only
is,
do the
brother.
half of it, but you got a great team, a great slate that understands the mission.
We do.
And so, but it will be good to bring confidence back to my people to like blue, because they have none. They have
And
none.
the thing about it, and people like to try and lay out booby traps for you and saying, well, how are you going to do this? And it seems a little oversimplistic to them. You say, you try. The first step to failure is failure to try.
Yeah.
You fight for it. That's how. You fight for it. You don't look at something and say, because that's challenging, then I just throw my hands up. What's the point?
Well, I've always said, James, and the thing that's pissed me off about this union the most, with this leadership, with Renfro, with Barner, is this we may lose mentality. And everything that's happened with, when you talk about HIP, stationary events, all these things that I always harp on, it always goes back to we may lose. You've got, as a union, you've got to get out of the mindset that we cannot address things because we may lose. You may lose, and we will lose things. You can never let that be who you are. We may lose. You have got to fight as a union. you've got to have people that know how to fight, that have been in those fights. That's what I always tell people, is that James Henry's record is one of a fighter, somebody who's not afraid of things. You look at your arbitration, taking everything imaginable into arbitration because you're not afraid to fail. You understand the importance of fighting for the city letter carrier. And right now, more than at any time in our history, we need a fighter. You always hear me talk about street fighting. You need a street fighter right now in that position more than any time else. You don't need a Pied Piper that blows a lot of smoke up people's asses, saying, hey, this is my birthright to be the president. You need people that are street fighters, that understand street fighting. And so, I don't know of anybody better than you. I look forward to getting in there with you and fighting. But again, James, as a city letter carrier myself, all I want my union to do is fight. That's all I want. That's all I want them to do. I've got a great president in Dana Chambliss. I've got the best Formal A in Jason Lee, JB. They understand you fight everything. You fight it. And, that's what I want for the entire country is what I have in my branch is a leadership that understands and the carriers understand you fight for us.
And we don't want to
that was
accord with
what
that.
was.
And we
Go
don't
ahead.
want to accord that with our slate, man. When you
Yeah.
start talking about myself, you, Demetra Lewis, Rob Kozier, Bill Kriebel, Tom Rooney, Walt McGregory, Orlando, all of us, and just everyone that is on our slate, Anita Guzzi, who is one of the preeminent union activists, whether you male or female, in the NLC history with the long record that she has. It is one of these things whereby one of the more pressing or significant traits that we look for in anyone that's running on here is your willingness and capacity to fight on behalf of the letter carriers.
Yes.
And we are not short of fighters, every single one of us. And this is what the CLC will be bringing to bear.
Yeah, it's a slate that is, to me, and it was important to me when I joined the CLC. It's a slate that's anti-status quo, anti-establishment, anti-good old boy, those that fall in line. You had all these votes against the Constitution by these individuals that it's pissed me off, because the Constitution is the only safeguard the city letter carrier has against a rogue agent. And then when you have, say, charges come up and you have people side with Renfro to go against the Constitution, those things piss me off. And I don't think that those people have any place to be representing city letter carriers in this union. And that's just me. I don't agree with it. I think that anybody who has sided with Renfro over the city letter carrier for 3 years has no business collecting dues or as their pay. I just don't. I think that their ass needs to be gone. And that's the reason I love this slate, is because it's anti-status quo. It's those that understand the mission, that it's about the city letter carrier. I see people that are running, getting in bed with the establishment, interviewing them, those that have had a record of going against the city letter carrier and siding with Renfro. And it's laughable that, and I've always said the establishment will always show themselves. They want to come out like they're these heroes. They will always show their stripes. You can't wash them off. But that's what I love about the CLC. It's anti-establishment.
And you're right, and the thing about, and it's not just anti-establishment for the sake of being anti-establishment. It's those that represent the establishment that's not embodying and living up to the core values that they were elected to live up to, right?
Yeah.
Because once we get in, we're going to be the establishment. It's like how John Lewis used to say, you got trouble and you got good trouble, right? You have You have establishment, and you just be the good establishment. Because once we get in, we'll be the establishment. But what we bring to bear is honor, integrity, and character, trustworthiness, and things of that nature that require that you abide by the will of the membership, that you honor and abide by the Constitution. These are the things that when folks are co-signing onto things that you know are wrong, then you need to be held accountable. And then when you have those that are fraternizing with those that are co-signing on things that are wrong, and they know that, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. How can you claim that you are wanting to make a difference and you reforming the union when you are yourself fraternizing and running around with those that support conduct that is detrimental and counterproductive to letter carriers? You have those, you have the other candidate that's declared running for presidency of the NLC, openly supporting those that support ill behavior for letter carriers.
Yeah.
How is that consistent? The comments you make should be consistent with the actions you take. And I'm telling you, the other individual that's running for president right now seems like whatever the flavor of the day is what he's willing to do, even including saying that I'm demonstrating, by video and otherwise, that I'm okay with whatever anyone else does, because I shouldn't be telling folks what to do. Well, here's what you should be doing, is that we all should have a standard that we adhere to. And the Constitution is the standard of what all the elected officers have to adhere to. And when you are abiding and saying ill behavior that is on a perpetual basis, because everybody makes mistakes, but when it's perpetual and when it's always seemingly ongoing without consideration to how it impacts anyone else, and it seems that it is beneficial primarily for you, that is advantageous for you, they used to call that self-dealing, so to speak. You're doing things that are for your benefit. And this is the one thing that you're talking about, we've been anti. We have definitely, in and of itself, are anti-me. We are pro-we. We are about the collective group, the letter carriers and us as a whole. We're letter carriers. We're part of the letter carriers, and we act on behalf of the letter carriers. So we are for, by, and of letter carriers. So you can say whatever you want to say. You can tickle people's ears with whatever you want to say. It's your actions that speak to it. And this is why I talked about us traveling the country and spending our own dime. You have these individuals that say, well, where is James Henry at one point? And where is, Corey, all these people? Where is the CLC? But then when we are doing it, well, it's the opposite now. Why are they traveling so much? Why are they making this money? How were they able to do their job? First, we were complaining that we weren't available, which was not true, But now you're doing it too much. You say, well, you got those that get on and complain about, hearing about those complaining about the CLC has blocked folks online. What is wrong with you? You're censoring people. You're no different than Renfro. But then you have the same ones saying, hey, nothing but crickets. We don't hear nothing from them. Well, here's the deal. We are serious candidates. We are about this business. We are focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's accomplishing the mission of making sure the letter carriers achieve a living wage and a hostile-free work environment, and able to get from hire date to retirement date. Everything else is nothing but background noise as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
We're not concerned about none of that nonsense. And so I can tell you, brother, no matter what anybody says, you know, what they cannot say is that we're not for real. And I don't understand, how is it that, you tell me, Corey, how is it that the CLC is held accountable for none of the decisions that we've made? You know, I mean, all the decisions that's been made that has adversely affected letter carriers in this union, we didn't make none of those decisions.
Yeah.
How is it that we are being held accountable when we're not empowered for anything at this particular point in time? And then how is it that you say, well, what is it that James Henry has done? I can tell you, if you just look at my record, you'll see I have 38 years of proven record that I will match against anyone. From the president on down, I will place my record up against him. And the reality of it is, as well, is that there is no group out there that genuinely loves letter carriers more. Why? Why do I say that? For this very reason. Virtually every one of us that are on the CLC has had some skin in the game, meaning that, have been politically blackballed or vilified. Despite what we have done, we have been willing to sacrifice, subject your family. Your wife has gotten, from just talking to you, has gotten attacked online by individuals. I've been attacked online. People have gone on to the CLC Zoom class and put in the N-word. You have people that are other members of the CLC that been attacked for one reason or other. And what have we done? Nothing other than try to make letter carriers' lives better and fight for what it is that we believe. We're the only ones that have put on CLC educational Zoom classes consistently over the last 2 years to try and educate the letter carrier. So in addition to us campaigning, we still have stayed true to our roots, and that's educating and helping letter carriers and fighting on behalf of letter carriers in every sense of the word. So, brother, I'm honored to run with you. I'm honored to run with Demetra, Rob, Walt, Bill, Dave Groskopf, Nita Guzzi, every single Debbie Dixon, Orlando, John Cruz, and all of our other individuals. You got Philip Rodriguez, you have Ethel Bibbs, you have Lloyd Doucette, we have Jamie Lucas, we have Kathy Jones, and we have all these individuals that are saying we'll take up the mantle and we'll join and fight on behalf of the letter carrier. So if I missed anybody, charge it to my head and not my heart. We are in this here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to make a difference and to reform this union. And nobody can say that you can't love and reform the union at the same time. Well, the reason that you correct your children is because you love them, right? That's the reason you correct them, is because you love them. And the reason that we want to correct some of the things that we see that are ill with the union is because we love it and we love the letter carriers.
Well, that's perfectly said. Again, I'm excited. The reason things are happening like that is because people understand that we're going to win. And you got some people that are not happy. And we're going to remove people that have decided to protect Renfro and themselves other than the city letter carriers, and they're going to be packing up their shit and leaving. And so they're not happy about it. And the people that they have employed are not happy about it. And the people they have in their office that they're trying to protect are not happy about it. And so they're going to come out and say all these crazy ass things. But like you said, we've not made one decision for the city letter carrier. We're just running a slate. And so, we, we've not failed to take a TA forward. We've not failed on going to arbitration. We've not failed on shit. We're just telling you
Yeah.
exactly what's going to happen when we take over, and we will take over because this movement is about the city letter carriers. They don't understand it, but these people that have these cush ass jobs for the last however many years are bitter because they know it's
Yeah.
over for them. The grift is over.
And it's not about us having a wholesale um, attitude about everybody got to go. If you're doing your job and you do your job and you're in line with the mission of protecting and advancing the rights and the benefits of letter carriers, then no worry. But if you are not aligned with our mission and you're not doing your job, there's going to be some scrutiny, that accompanies that. So we'll just leave it at that at this particular moment. So it's not no wholesale you gone, but we will have a no nonsense attitude towards anyone that's not doing their job and willing to go in the direction that we believe is in the best interest of this union.
Yeah, like Marvin Runyon said when he took over, if you're not touching the mail, be concerned about your job. It's the same thing. If you're not protecting city letter carriers, you need to be concerned.
Yeah.
Every job is going to be looked at, and we would
Yeah.
be remiss not to do that. That would be
Oh,
on
yeah.
us if we didn't come in and
Yeah.
say, "Who are you and what do you do?"
Mhm.
And are you important or not? And if you're not in the business of protecting the city letter carriers, I'd be concerned
Yeah.
because the thing that we're going to do from day one is start fighting for city letter carriers. That's what I'm excited
Absolutely.
about. We were already ready to take over this son of a bitch when we take it over, when we win. And, the city letter carriers have decided that they're going to make a change. And I'm just glad that, we're going to be on this side of it when we take over.
Right. And so, hey, good trouble, right?
That's right. That's right. But hey, I've been trouble for a while, brother. So
So good.
this has been coming for a
And,
while.
and I want to say to you, one of the other things that I have heard, about individuals being concerned about your professionalism. I want everyone to know that I stand with you 10 toes down, brother. And I'm very, very honored and pleased to have you by my side. And on behalf of the letter carriers, the one thing that I had stated, I was on Joshua Schramm's Parcels of Knowledge podcast last week, and a question was asked about that. And I said, here, essentially, and I'll say it now, you don't have to take my word as to Corey's professionalism. Yes, I understand that there's been some colorful language and some intensity and passion in some of the from made arbitrations, but that your personal uh, medium and so on. But your record precedes you. There's no one that says that you've gone in any professional setting with regards to the Postal Service when you've done uh, dozens, over 100 and plus arbitrations and interacted with management in every capacity as relates to representing letter carriers from arbitration to locally and interacting with other branch presidents and officers, and that you have not extended and conducted yourself, extended courtesies, professional courtesy, and conducted yourself anything short of professional. And I know that everyone should know. They can say a lot of things about you. What they cannot say is that you're an idiot. And they know or should know that you understand the task before you and that you are going to have to be in rooms with individuals and be in a position to be able to represent Medicare's at the highest level. And as such, there is a place and time for everything. And certainly everybody should know that that's not a place and time to be calling people out their names and all that other stuff. Because we are now working on behalf of the letter carriers. But it's offensive to me for people to think that you would jeopardize those that you know that you love for some personal ego. And I've heard that, and I know you've heard that. But the reality of it is that your record precedes you. You've represented letter carriers over and over, and I have heard not anyone, whether it's union or management, say that you have done so. So I want everyone to know, you don't have to send no more questions about asking me, do I support Corey? Yes, I do. Or do I support his conduct or concern about him being professional when he gets this position? I have no doubt that he will and that he is. His record demonstrates that. So I want to say that from me to you, brother.
I appreciate that, my bro. What's funny is I've had people that have used my podcast to advance their agenda that will say that now, that were sat on my back porch and asked me to go run with them. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm going to keep my word and run with the CLC. And have heard later, they were like, well, this language you didn't have any problem with my language when you was coming on my podcast.
Right.
When you was using this to advance yourself, you didn't have any issue with it. But now, just that language and stuff. I've never gone into an arbitration and said, how you motherfuckers doing in here? That's just, or looked at a witness and said, you son of a bitch, that's not who I am. I have no concern about that whatsoever. I know who I am and how I conduct myself in those settings, and I can go in any room and win it. And that's not, you've seen me in numerous now, 100 branch meetings dealing with individuals, and you know who I am. But on this podcast, I've always said I'm going to be the carrier's anger. They look at me to be a voice for them, and that's exactly what I'm going to be. And so that anger comes out in me. But I can honestly say during the week, James, I probably don't say 2 cuss words all week long. I save them all up. I save them all up for Sunday. Because I don't cuss a lot, really. During the week I don't say. And then but when I get to reading things and I understand who my people are and what we do every day, the work that we put in, the amount of persecution we take on the workroom floor, the elements we deal with on the street, and my agent has failed us, and the union, and the Postal Service lost its damn mind. I'm going to be the carrier's anger, and and I'm not going to stop that. But when it comes to a professional setting, I've dealt with that hundreds of times. I'm not the least bit concerned about it.
No, I'm not least concerned about it as well. And and the facts are what they are, and people are going to try and exaggerate or conflate a different scenario to the real world. And like I said, we are upset that carriers didn't get what they are deserving of as well. But we will fight for it. Like I said, there's a difference between saying that somebody needs to lose weight and saying, you know what, you're a disgusting fat slob. You just, when you are in certain seats, you have to, you wouldn't want your doctor saying that. And so when we are in those positions, we understand what our mission is. And no matter what it is the carrier first and achieving that mission. And, you're talking about individuals that say one thing and do another. I do want to also point out that I don't want individuals that are listening here that you get folks get on there to listen to try and again lay booby traps for us, opposed to listening because you have transitioned more to what you initially were educating letter carriers and stuff, and that is your claim to fame. But when it comes down to it, brother, these these people that want to pretend as if there is no there's no issue with they conduct themselves, and when someone claps back that they get upset and then trying to ascribe everyone's behavior to the CLC. I want to be able to say out there, don't confuse a CLC supporter with the CLC slate. Unless it's coming from somebody on the slate, people are entitled to express themselves however they want to please. There's a lot of people that get on our social media sites and say all manner of ill things about the CLC as a whole, consistently, even those that we've helped out personally.
Yeah.
Those that we've helped out personally, constantly badgering and just disparaging the CLC slate as a whole. And we don't block them just because they have said something that is untrue or we disagree with or they disparage us. Have somebody get on there making threats or someone get on our social medias and in addition to making a threat, just being overly vulgar, then we're gonna say, no, this is not the place for you. But just because you voice an opposition or a different opinion, we don't block that. But conversely, when they're allowed to people get on and they are allowed to say what they want to say, but then if a supporter speaks up for the CLC, then all of a sudden the CLC as a whole is no good. And that's disingenuous. No, it really is. And then you hear these individuals that are saying, well, you hear nothing but crickets. Again, we're serious candidates. We're mature individuals, and we want to do nothing but run our race. And so I want people to know, don't confuse CLC supporters with the CLC slate. If it ain't coming from somebody that's on the slate, then it's not the CLC. We appreciate all our supporters, but just like the dissenters, they get to say what they want to say as well. So I just want to put that out there. And, and then this other prevailing issue about a Mike Carey supporters and himself constantly for a debate. Constantly asking for a debate. And I've told him unequivocally, no, that I will not debate him. And I've told his supporters repeatedly, no, will not debate him. And last week, someone showed me a clip that he got on saying, James, brother, it ain't a good look for you to not debate me here. It's just my opinion. It's not a good look for you to be avoiding me. Let me make something exceedingly clear. There is no run. There is not an ounce of fear in this body whatsoever. I did not spend a career in the United States Marine Corps and be promoted to the senior ranks being fearful. There is no fear in this body or in this heart by being an advocate for the NELC. And as you're talking about, I took everything for it. I wasn't a cherry picker. You say I could dunk with any ball. I went forward and fought on behalf of the letter carrier. You think that I've been in hundreds of arbitrations and cannot argue or articulate? So a debate is actually my grounds. That's my battlefield. I am more than capable of debating with the best of them or arguing with the best of them. That is not the reason why I will not debate Mike Cariff. The reason that I will not debate Mike Cariff is because, one, his word is not reliable. He does not keep his word. And I'm not his opponent. It is the president of this union that's his opponent. That's who he's trying to unseat. He's not trying to unseat me. Theoretically, he and I are on the same side. And then why would we debate one another other than for theatrics and to have an episode of Jerry Springer when the president of this union is the one that's made the decisions that have adversely affected this union? I asked Mike point blank, Mike, aren't you running because you are in disagreement with what Renfro has said or done and the decisions that he made for this union? And he flat out said, no, I'm running because of you. That told me everything that I needed to know, that it wasn't about the objective. It wasn't about reforming this union. It was about him trying to eradicate someone that he believes stole his birthright, his entitlement, you know? And why will we debate when all who have perhaps are going to be running for the position hasn't declared as of yet? It just doesn't make any sense. But moreover, anything that would not or does not include every single letter carrier's opportunity to participate in a Zoom or a meeting at a particular or a YouTube thing, someplace falls woefully short of that, in my opinion. So when my man says that, hey, look, you know, James, it's not a good look, brother, for you to be avoiding me and not doing a debate. My response to that is simply this. What's not a good look is you begging. That's what's not a good look, brother. I've told you repeatedly no. I've told your supporters repeatedly no. Well, don't beg. Because that's exactly what you're doing at this particular point in time. Because you want theatrics. You want an episode of Jerry Springer, and I will not give you the stage to do so. And one of the things that is written in it is that back when the CLC, which he was one of the founding members of, that seemingly some of his supporters don't seem to either know or refuse to accept, Mike was one of the founding members of the CLC, not me. He made a monetary contribution to the CLC because of his belief in the CLC, because of his belief in a great deal of the individuals that are still present and part of the CLC, because he believed then in slates, but he doesn't believe in slates now. Because, you know, for whatever reason, he hasn't assembled one or can't assemble one. Doesn't matter to me. The one thing I do know is that anyone that has been in leadership position with regards to the union, that you can't be the president and you're trying to go left and you have an executive board going to the right, you're pushing and they're pulling. He'll be just a president in name only if he doesn't have people aligned with him to try and get the mission accomplished, get the policies moved forward. And so for him to try and clown the ideal of slates, he's ran on a slate multiple times. He's been on Fred Rolando's slate. He's been on Renfro's slate. And those principles or those convictions never was an issue until now. I don't understand that. And so, and no one else should understand that. So when you adjust your position to be the flavor of the day, you got to ask yourself why. Because what we don't need is people being disingenuous. What we don't need is people being dishonest with you. What we don't need is someone that will say whatever is necessary or think what you want to hear to get what they want. And like I said, when the CLC had decided that we were going to put forward a candidate to run for president, he pushed for that candidate to be selected sooner than the CLC wanted it to be selected. And he's been disingenuous about that in not admitting that he's the one that pushed to have a president declared, stating that everyone needs to know who they're going to support. And the CLC was saying with the board, no. And back in May of 24, he decided that he wanted to go ahead and do that. And so the trustees of the CLC, which he put a member on there, which was his state president at the time, Louis Rivas, a panel of 7 called and said, okay, Mike, you want to have this vote to select who we're going to present to the body as a whole, then are you in agreement that we take a vote and whoever that person is, that you would abide by it? He said yes. Asked me the same thing. I said yes. Neither one of us at the time had no idea how that was going to transpire, what the results were. I can tell you this, it was 7-0, and who cast the very first vote for me against Mike was his state president at the time, Louis Rivas. And I can tell you unequivocally, had the vote by majority or unanimous like it was for me gone in his favor, I would have asked every one of my supporters to stand down and to throw our support behind Mike, because it is a situation that was bigger than me. It was about the objective, about reforming this union, about replacing the current leadership so carriers can have reliable, trustworthy leadership. And so the vote took place right then and there at his behest, in his agreement, and it was unanimous in my favor. And I asked him right then, I said, well, before we hang up, Mike, are you good with this? Mike said, yes, I'm good with it. And so at that particular point in time, he says, I think it was a little quick on the draw, but I'm good with it. So he hangs up. And from my understanding, he calls you. He calls Chris Jackson. He calls some officers in his branch. And he sends me a text affirming that a vote had taken place and that he would support the decision. And I want you to read that text, please.
All right. This is from him. It's
And
Tuesday.
I want you, before I know, I want you, everybody to know is that I've tried to avoid this here for 2 years. When it happened and when he came out, I did not put this text on Facebook back then. I didn't put it in the social media. Very few people knew I had the text. But this consistent insistence of me debating him, this underscores why I want, because the word to me is non-existent. I don't believe for a second anything that we would agree to, any format, that he would honor it. And when you lose your word to me, I don't have anything else to do with you regarding trusting anything you have to say, because in this job and in life, credibility is your currency. Please read that text, please. And the date of it.
Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 at 3:13 p.m. To you, my brother, we have a lot to talk about, but I'm excited. The CLC officers are absolute leaders for our union, and they are confident in you, which gives me a lot of confidence.
I still think they were quick on the draw there, but they had obviously thought about it already. So that a decision has been made. I'm going to help you in all caps, in any way I can. Trust and believe that.
So I did trust and believe that until 2 days later, he declared his candidacy. And from my understanding, the same individual flew out to your home and sat on your back porch and tried to get you to run with him. And you said no, because I've given my word to the CLC. And at that point, then he said that whatever you do, I'm going to do. Is that not true?
100% correct. And my wife heard that. It was on my back patio, and she was standing in the kitchen, and she'll testify to that. That's exactly what transpired. He flew down here and sat on my back patio and asked me what I was going to do. And he wanted to make a team. I said, I'm running with the CLC, brother, because I gave him my word. That's what I was going to do. Well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that. And the very next day launched his presidency.
And so, here's the deal. I don't care what he or anyone else do. They have the right to do that. So I don't want anybody to think we're bemoaning the fact that he decided to run. You can change your mind, but when you give your word, that's all you have in this life when all of it's done. And he hasn't kept his word. Not only that, on other things as well. And so I will not entertain that notion of having a debate. You have some of his supporters going out there. And this is going to be pretty much the last time I address it because it's irritating. But I have to go ahead and address it now because he decided to take to social media last week and say, brother, it's not a good look for you. It's not a good look for you. Essentially, avoid me. He didn't say the word avoid, but that was the message. He said, it's not a good look in my opinion. Or like I said, my response to that, well, I've told you repeatedly no, over and over. I told you your supporters repeatedly no. What's not a good look is you begging. That's what's not a good look. And so I needed to make sure that the record was set straight on that. And so he won't be dispatching, and he probably still will, dispatching any more of his supporters on his behalf to ask me to debate. And some of them presented, what was ironic. Some of them have stated, well, James Henry was asked to answer questions by the membership, and he refused to do so. He never refused to answer any questions by the membership. You and I have traveled this country from far, near, and every place in between, and we've shut places down where they've kicked us out. When we was in Davenport, Iowa, we had to get out of the place because the place of business was shutting down. We were out in Charlotte. We out in the parking lot till 11:30 answering questions. Anyone that we wanted to go to, anywhere we went, anyone that wanted to ask questions, even if the officers or the branch didn't afford us the opportunity there while we gave our speech, made it known that we will stay after and answer any questions anyone have asked. So some of his most ardent supporters are presenting this narrative, because there's a couple that I've asked, can we come over and speak? And it was on the condition of doing a debate. Well, I've outlined why I will not do a debate now or ever with him because of those reasons, whether they subscribe to it or not. But anyone that lives with principles of integrity don't like folks to lie to them. And once you do that, then you don't have nothing to do with it. And that's what and like I said, it doesn't make sense because I'm not the opposition. I'm not the one that he's trying to unseat. He should be trying to contrast his policies and everything or ideas to the one that's in power. He should be trying to, but he don't say nothing. Let me be clear about this. It's always about James Henry. It's always about James Henry. It's more about trying to burn the house down than to build it up. Trying to diminish my light and the CLC's light than to make yours shine brighter. You don't have to try and dim anyone else's light to make yours shine bright. And we've spent, give or take, the last 2 years trying to ignore all that noise with that. But I'm just, since he needed to go online and make a video, I felt it was warranted and necessary at this point, so his supporters and our supporters understand why. There is no fear ever in this body and in this heart. Understand that.
Well, brother, let me tell you. I've been around you enough. You don't owe anybody anything as far as answering to some clown on anything talking about you. You don't owe anybody anything. Your record, the things that you have done in your career speak loud and clear for you. You don't ever have to say another word, brother. You could ride off into the sunset today and your legendary status would remain. That's how I feel. And you know I say that everywhere I go. That's how I feel about you. You don't owe anybody an explanation. I know that this is under, a burr in your saddle for a while because, like you said, somebody gives you your word, you're going to have to hopefully take them for their word, and you couldn't. And you've been sitting on this for a long time, but baby, you don't owe nobody an explanation, brother. You're the real deal. I would not be side by side with you going all across this country spending all my money if I didn't think that you were the one. And I can tell you that now, looking at you in this Zoom. if I didn't think you was it, brother, I would pack my shit and stay home. But I know that you're the future of this union. Your integrity, I say it every fucking where I go. Integrity first. If you make a list, integrity. Now people are seeing what I'm talking about. I've known these things for a long time. They've not come out. You've been sitting on it for a while, and now it's come out because, like you said, it just keeps going on and on like the Energizer Bunny, on and on and on and on with this same false ass narrative. And but brother, like I said, you don't owe nobody no explanation. Your record speaks for itself. And, I think the world of you. I've always said, like I said, everywhere we go, if you're to make a list, what would be on the top of it? It's got to be integrity. It's got to be integrity. We have none right now with this president. He's lied to us for 3.5 years. From the very beginning, it started out as a lie. When we voted for him, it was based off of a lie because it was a lie by omission. When he was put up and nobody told us about the issues that he had, it started off a lie. It's still a lie. And it seems like, everybody else running, there's based off of a lie. And so it's got to be integrity. That's the most important thing to me. Everybody up there is smart. Hell, Renfro's smart. Others are smart. Integrity is what matters to me the most. And you're the only one with any of it. And I'm glad that you did that tonight. I'm glad you said that. We didn't have a topic when we was talking before. I was like, what do you want to talk about? We didn't, because we just had a Zoom. I was going to do it tomorrow. I messaged you and said, hey, man, you just want to do this tomorrow because, it's late as hell. And he's like, man, let's just go on and jump on there. You told your people you're going to do it. We didn't have a topic. We were just like, well, hell, just whatever comes up, man, we'll talk about it. And so people are probably like, they have no topic, but we didn't have a topic. We were just like shooting the shit with each other. But I'm glad you did that, James. I'm glad you did that.
It up with you, man.
Yeah, your supporters needed to hear that. Other people that support other people needed to hear that. And so, put it to bed. Of course, it won't be put to bed. You're still going to have those that are going to be chirping. That's all they know how to fucking do. But I'm glad you did that, brother. I really am. And I heard Josh Room's podcast. I thought you did fantastic there. But I'm glad you did that and put that out there for everybody because they needed to hear it.
Absolutely, man. And I don't espouse at all to be perfect. And you don't, whatever. None of us are perfect. And like I said all the time, don't apply the purity test to me. And I make mistakes just like everybody in this world. But said we're not perfect, but we have a perfect heart. We really desire to do the right thing. And what's going to happen here, brother, is that the letter carriers are about to enter into a relationship with leadership. They're going about to enter into a relationship with leadership, and they got to determine what is most important to them. Like you said, integrity and truthfulness and honesty and character, those things that inform how you move, how you conduct decisions that you make. What are the basis for them? And if you want people that A is going to fight for you and B that you believe, and not necessarily in that order, that you can trust, that you believe are acting on your best behavior or your best interest, then the CLC are the people that you need to go. And like I said, there's folks that are clowning us that we don't even understand where it's coming from, but it don't matter because it's still not going to detract us from our mission. And that's making sure the letter carriers have a living wage and have a hostile-free working environment and can get from hire date to retirement date. That's what we're going to be looking for. And that's going to manifest itself in so many different forms. Like I said, the dogs of war, hopefully trying to lift the caps on employer contributions with regards to the healthcare, hopefully getting credit or recredited back to their time for non-career employees, that the carriers before becoming a career, making sure that we have full colas for every letter carrier, at every step, making sure that you don't have to spend over half of your career trying to get to the top step because we have monthly bills. We don't have yearly bills, brother. So these things that we're going to be fighting, these are the visions that we have for our brothers and sisters in this union. And I don't want anybody, as we wrap it up here, to not believe this one basic principle is that we got their back like vertebrae.
Yes.
That is a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, brother, I can't wait to take over, my man. I really can't. And it's midnight your time.
Just about. So we're going to shut it down, man, and have a warm glass of milk. No, I don't have no milk. But, the thing is, man, it is always good to chop it up with you. And they say, time flies when you're having fun. And the reality, like I said, a lot of times seem like we get at it late, but you're in such high demand where you constantly responding to carriers around the country, and we're trying to get things done. And not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, we're going to be out in Long Island on June 7th.
Yes. They're going to have a big deal out there, man. It's going to be a lot of CLC support out there. We're going to have a party. And
man,
they got it set up for us, man. They got it set up for us. I may dance.
Man, look, my homeboy Charlie Caputo, you got Jason Munn out there, you got the whole crew. They have done an outstanding job in organizing out there in Long Island amongst hostile or within hostile territory. And they have led by example, and their leadership have inspired others to come on. And we're going to be in full effect there on June 7th. And so any of you that are anywhere near Long Island, New York, and you can get to us, come out there and meet with us. It's going to start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we're going to be available to meet and greet and talk with you and have just have a good time. We have a silent auction. I think we have all kinds of things, and so come join us. And we want to thank you in advance, those out there in Long Island, Charlie and his crew, for setting this up here. And we want to make sure that before we leave, that everyone, if you have not done so, I know you listen to Pervade Arbitration. If you have not done so, make sure that you go on concernedlettercarriers.com, one word, like and endorse ours on all of our social media such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and uh, Twitter/X, all that other stuff. Also, we need donations. We're trying to reach everyone, and we don't use not one dime of the donations to travel. Me and Corey has been spending tens of thousands of dollars out of our own pocket because we care. That sacrifice is necessary, in our opinion, to get out and reach every letter carrier we can. But please, if it's $5, it's $50, $100, whatever you have, we're asking that you can make the donations just by clicking on the donate button on concernedlettercarriers.com, and it'll take you to different links where you can go to Zelle, GoFundMe, Cash App, you can send check, all that information. So please do so. Do you not agree there, my man?
Absolutely, brother, because we're going to reach every person that delivers that mail, and we're going to have a mailing. It's a lot of money.
Yes,
It's a lot of
we're
money,
only
but it's a necessity.
we're only 2.5 months away from nominations. So if you're going to donate to us at any point, now is the time. And thank you for having me on again, brother. And we're going to have another clam bake.
Hey, we'll start doing it maybe weekly. How's that sound?
Yeah, man, sounds like a good man. Perhaps we can move it up a little earlier.
Like 7 p.m. rather than 11 p.m. How's that sound? Because
Yes,
I'm
yes.
in bed. I'm old, man. I'm in bed by 9. If I'm getting into 11 o'clock, brother, my eyes are crossed.
I got you. I got you. But thanks for indulging us, man, and we'll see you on the other side. And I want everybody to be blessed out there.
All right, my brother. Love you, James. I'll holler at you later, bud.
Likewise, man.
All right, bud.
Yeah. All right, my man. So